educational expenses that you incur in your business may or may not be deductible. There's a couple of easy rules that we have to apply to see if we can deduct them. And so let's take a look at those. Okay, educational expenses. We're not talking college expenses here. We've already discussed there's several options for college expenses, like the American Opportunity Credit, the Lifetime Learning Credit. So we're not really talking college expenses here. What we're talking about is other training or education that you might go through for your job. And the two tests that we have, and you must meet at least one of them, is that the requirements of the taxpayer's employer or the requirements of the law are required to take these educational expenses. So like I mentioned in the last video, as a CPA in Texas, I'm required to have 40 hours of continuing education every year by law. So by the requirements of law, I have to take 40 hours, and that means that any educational expenses I incur to help me maintain my CPA certificate under the law, I get to deduct. And so that includes those cruise ship things we talked about in the last video. One of the other thing is the educational expenses must be paid to maintain or improve existing skills to do the duty of your present work. And so this is where any education that you have that lets you keep your job but not prepare you for a new job are usually deductible. So if I had to take, if I took training on tax classes and I wasn't required to by law, that would be deductible because it helps me keep my present job. It helps me do my present job better. And so that would be deductible education. But what if I took a class on how to be a real estate agent? Now that's me for a new job, and that would not be deductible. So you have to meet these two rules, or one of them, excuse me, you have to meet at least one of these rules, and then you can deduct any training required for your job. So this is one of those things that I like to have my clients kind of push that gray a little bit. There's lots of classes I could take every year that are online. I wouldn't even have to leave my couch to get my 40 hours of training to maintain my CPA license. And those online expenses are deductible to me. But how fun is that? What if I wanted to go to Vegas? Well, there's lots of classes in Vegas I can take to maintain my CPA license. And so now I can go to Vegas, deduct my travel expenses, deduct my meals, deduct the cost of the course that I'm taking while in Vegas as a business expense because I'm going there because I'm required by law to maintain my CPA license. So I go there for that education, and now I've made my trip to Vegas deductible. Of course, now we would have to, allocate it out between personal and business, but, usually you can do any personal stuff you want to do in Vegas in the evening time. And so now you're not staying extra days. And so now you can deduct every night of lodging and all that good stuff. And so it makes a nice little trip that you can deduct. There's also training on cruise ships. There's training in Hawaii. There's training in Ireland. You can go anywhere and get this education. And so this is one of those things where if you wanted to and you wanted to go to Ireland, we could deduct part of that as long as you did something educational for your job while you were there. Coming up next, I forgot to look again. I don't know what we're talking about next. Oh, coming up next, we're just going to talk about some other miscellaneous expenses that we're going to look at.